Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. We're getting close to the end of the year, and this is a good time for me to pull out some of the projects that are going to be coming up for the next year, and projects that I should have gotten to a long time ago. But as you know, you can't really. You have to be in the mood, like I was saying, to do certain projects, and I'm tricky like that. I want to enjoy what I do when I come down here. If not, obviously I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I want to enjoy the projects, and you should do the same thing. Don't force yourself to do something that you don't feel like doing. And that's also how you get injured in the shop a lot of times, when you're doing something against the schedule, or doing something that you're rushing and you don't want to, or you don't really feel like being down there. This is the time that you want to enjoy it. So let me show you some of the things that we got coming up, and some of the projects in waiting, and some of the things I should have gotten to already.
Okay, now most of the products we're going to be talking about, the upcoming projects, are from viewers, not the ones that are from my own collection. But here's one that goes back about, I guess, over a year. And this is from my good friend Alan Robbins from Bayshore, Long Island. And Alan, I think their family had a plumbing supply company, and Alan had gotten this in here, and it's an old jigsaw. And Alan's been a long-time friend of the show, obviously, but he sent this in. Look how cool this jigsaw is. Still got the blue tape. A lot of times they do not have to scratch the surface, but this will clean up really nice. And they took an unusual blade, but he gave an assortment of blade. We're going to be doing this as a project. Okay, about 6 months ago, back in July, my friend Terry from over in the UK sent over some really nice, interesting parallel pliers that are different than the Bernards, because these are made in England. So we're gonna take a look at these. And he also sent over a screwdriver, a really vintage one, but he wanted to see if we could do something with that crack. So we'll be getting to that. Now you all remember Steve F. Steve, about a year ago, gave me these beautiful 48-inch HKP bolt cutters that we're going to be doing. These things are massive. I'm looking forward to doing these. Next, my buddy Chris Lusk from Mineral Wells, Texas, sent this up. And Chris, a really nice guy, and we were talking. Now, this is a challenge. This might look like easy. You see how this comes apart, and there's a threaded rod that holds it together, which you don't usually see these type of hammers like this. But this is a pretty famous, well-made hammer, and you could see here the writing on here. But what we're going to do is we're going to try, and you can see it took a little beating on the side. It's going to be a good challenge of a restoration, especially getting these caps made. We're going to be doing that. Just recently, my good buddy Jim, he has a YouTube channel called Mad Styles, and Jim's a great guy, and you got to check out his channel, just to see his cat Tara, which is I love that cat. I had a couple black cats, and they're amazing. Anyway, Jim said, he knows I like a couple of these wrenches, and these are going to be beautiful. These are going to, and he does great work. So for him to send these off without restoring them, I'm sure it was really tough. But we got some nice Craftsmen, and we're going to be talking about Miller's Falls and this whole line of Miller's Falls tools that they had. That's going to be a great episode. Next up, you remember a while back I had a set of these beautiful Isco wrenches. Well, Mike Kowalski from Wisconsin, he's over there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. He had one of the wrenches I was missing in the set, because I didn't even know. And look how nice it is, So he sent that over a while back. And Mike, I really appreciate it. But the box, Mike said, was too light, so he threw this in for a restoration. And this looks like this is going to be a lot of fun, right, to restore. Look at this. That's a crazy looking wrench, isn't it? So we're going to have a good time restoring this. That's coming up. Next up, I'm a little embarrassed and ashamed to mention this, but about over a year ago, when I was doing the Kreuter World War I and World War II pliers, somebody sent in, and I had his name tagged to this, but there was a lot of moving going around here and shuffling with packages, and the name came off, and I can't remember for the life of me who sent this. If you know who it is, if you're still watching, if you're not upset with me, please let us know in the comments. But one of the viewers sent this in. These are World War I Kreuters, and these are beautiful. They're in real nice condition, so we can do these up real nice. And I'm sorry about forgetting your name, so please put it in the comments. A couple weeks ago, our good friend Anthony Perello from Texas sent in this 4-way screwdriver that we're going to review real soon. It's got the mini screws on it. This is really handy. We're going to talk about that. Next up, you're going to love this. Our good friends Tim and Nancy Govan from North Shores, Michigan. They've been watching the show for a long time, and Tim was wondering, he wanted to do something. Then he realized that Dake wasn't far from where he contacted Dake, and he told him about me and how, you know, I kind of have this obsession with Dake stuff. And they actually watched a couple of the videos, and turns out they sent him and Nancy a bunch of swag for the show. Look at this magnetic stick of Dake, a nice. You can use this for water or fuel. It's an aluminum bottle, and this great flag to hang. How cool is that, huh? You know. But they also sent a couple of souvenirs from Michigan, where they live, and to check out. And what great people! How to send something, to do all that, and to contact Dake, and how amazing is that? And, you know, I have an inkling. We haven't been on a Dake in a while, and we are totally overdue. Tim and Nancy, thanks so much for that. Next up, we got a package from a name you'll recognize. It's Ben Curfey, our good friend from the UK, who, Ben is a great guy. And he's lived life in just the right way, that, you know, everything good comes his way, it seems. And Ben just had some of these. He said he threw together, but look at the beautiful stuff that he sent. He sent some nice gloves and the Starrett oil container stuff. He has a Snap-on, this is a bearing puller, or a seal puller from Snap-on. Here's an old, look at this nut driver. Isn't that kind of strange? This is before they had the... That's an unusual one. That's an old one. This is a Brad driver, and you can see the logo here. Do I have it upside down? I'm sorry. I don't even know if I have it upside down. Oh, is it here? Yeah, there's the logo. And this is a beautiful thing. I'll show you how this works when we get to it. Some nice chainsaw files. Here's a standard wire gauge, but look how nice this is. How it opens up. It slides open like this to get to the bigger sizes. Isn't that nice? Never seen anything like that. We'll talk more about it. My first footprint wrench, and you guys over in the UK are laughing right now going, what? Your first footprint, Nash has about like 30 of these now. But I mean, these are very common in the UK, but extremely uncommon. You never see these here in the States. So my first footprint, we'll get to that. And some nice Baco handles. Boy, these are real ergonomic. Much better than the corn cob. This is really nice. But look at this. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to say Wia. It's WIHA. Somebody's going to go back and go, no, it's WIA. I don't know. But whatever it is, check out these beautiful, these are made in Germany. And these are just really nice. But look here. This is really cool. You ready for this? Watch. When you want to get to one of these Allen keys, what you do is you turn it, and look how they open up like that. That's pretty cool, huh? I have never seen that before. And then you just pull it out. Really interesting. But what blew me away was we were talking about locks. So Ben sent this. Let me show you this. Okay, I almost forgot to mention the nice Wera a bottle opener. And I don't know what kind of metal this is, but this is really, it seems like a pretty exotic. It's got the stamping on here, real nice. And it's very ergonomic, you know. That's one thing about the handles. They really know how to make an ergonomic handle. But here is the Mac Daddy of what he sent. This is a Abloy from Finland. Now, these locks are amazing because you can see here, these are the top of the line locks in the world. Now, look at the key. They call it bitting. When you see how the key is cut. Look at that. You couldn't even if you wanted to make this key, I mean, you need a special machine, and you know, it's got dimpling, it's got everything on here. And it's made with wafers and all kinds of stuff. It's very difficult to pick, if at all possible. And it's made from this crazy hard steel. And look, when you do this, listen to it. It's just like, it's so precision. And look at the finish on this thing, huh? I mean, you wouldn't even want to put this outside. It's you can see it's a Abloy 350, and just a beautiful lock. I mean, this is just a, you know, Finland. You know what's so funny? When I was starting to collect locks, I figured, hey, let's go to the really good areas like Switzerland. Switzerland don't make locks. You know why? Because they don't have too much theft around. But I don't think Finland has a lot of theft, but I think that they took advantage of making a really high quality, unit. But you ever hear of Abloy before? What a nice lock. Look at this thickness of that. Just awesome. Thanks so much. I guess some of you longtime listeners know that followers that know that I collect some, a modest collection of spark plugs, and I always like these Champion. Look at this. Remember these old signs you used to see that hung up on, on gas stations and stuff. This is, and it's pretty big. You could see, but I always like this. So I want to make a full-size plug just like this out of wood, and that's going to be one of the projects. But our buddy Dean Collins, you remember? Okay, so now Dean sent this package a while back, months ago, and I have to tell you, I've been sitting on this, but he sent a lot of nice, microfiber cloths and cleaning cloths and buffing cloths and gloves, things like that. That he knows that I go through like crazy. A nice little detail brush, especially great for chips and stuff like that. But he always throws in some cool stuff, and he's he's a volunteer at the Heart of Route 66 Auto Museum, and it's in Oklahoma. And if you ever get a chance to go by there, you got to stop in. He does volunteer work, but he does detailing and partial restorations on the cars, and he just loves this stuff. But look at this that he sent here. You ever see this kind of, look how cool that is. It's, they used to sell these shine cloths, and you could do cars and furniture. And when you open it up, look, I guess it was a silicone impregnated cloth, I mean, that is so cool. It's still in there and came in this cool tin. I mean, I would buy something like this today. I don't know why they stopped selling stuff like that. Okay, look at this. He sent a box of old Champion plugs. Look at these plugs here. Look, it's got the double seal box that they came in. These are K80Rs, right? Now, I never heard of these plugs, but take a look at this. Look at the size of these. This is something the Road King would get a kick out of. Look at the size of that plug. I'm sorry for the lighting. I'm upstairs here, but look at this. That's a huge plug, right? I mean, you don't see plugs. The barrel of this is just tremendous, but these will clean up nice. This is just like a real old-fashioned spark plug, I don't even know. That looks like, like 5/7/8 of an inch over here, and I love it, so these are really cool. But my favorite thing that he said, what I didn't know until the last time I was talking to Dean, was that he's the tactical flight officer for the Tulsa Police Air Support, and he does all kinds of helicopter work, and so that is really amazing. He sent some of the patches from his unit and stuff like that, and a lot of times when they go to meet other units and do aviation stuff, they trade stuff. Here's something from the Canadian Royal Mounted Police, a nice little money clip, and something from NYPD detectives, and here's some of the patches. But this is what's really cool. This is my favorite part. Is look at this picture. There's Dean right there. He ain't doing no Safety Sally stuff on this chopper, right? And how cool is that? And I always said, I got a couple, old pictures of me, doing some wild stuff. I said, you got to take these pictures when you're young and stuff, because when you get older, for some reason, you sit on the sidelines. You're the one taking the picture. So if you're a young guy and you're under the age of 40, you got to take some pictures like this, because if not, nobody's going to believe the great stuff you did when you get older. Okay, next up, who knows what this is, okay? We did, I'll tell you what, his kites. We did it a couple months ago. And my buddy Keith Eubank from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, what a great guy. Keith contacts me. And he says, have you ever heard of this item? And I was like, I said, yeah, of course. I've been trying to get one for years, but I can never. In fact, I must have bid on a dozen of these on eBay, and I'm always either outbid or they just go over my. And Keith goes, you know what? I'm going to send you one. I was like, you're kidding me. And he wound up sending me. Let me show you what it is. How cool this is. Okay, for some of you who know what it is, this is a World War II Gibson Girl box kite. This came with a survival kit that was issued to the World War II Army Air Force pilots that would be flying over water or something, and it came with the dinghy, and there was a radio, a transmitter, there was lines, there was a whole bunch of stuff in the kit, but including this kite. And what this kite was meant to do was this beautiful box kite was meant, you could see the spiders in here, that's what they call the separators, and what that was meant to do was that you would launch this up, and when you launched it, it would pull the aerial, the antenna, up to a working height that you can crank the transmitter, the Gibson Girl transmitter, and make contact with a friendly ship, hopefully. Now, what's really interesting, you could see here, in 15 to 40 mile an hour winds, you would attach it to this point here, and if it was only 7 to 20 mile per hour winds, you would attach it here. Now, I'm dying to get this in the air, and I want to fly it. I'm going to first sew this up a little bit. I don't want it to God forbid, rip anymore, but this is just such a beautiful piece of World War II history and kite. This is just unbelievable. So we'll get this. I'm going to go through the whole history of what it is, and we're going to get it in the air and flying, and then we'll talk now. Lastly, my mentor Dan Semmel, he had picked these up for me at the show we were at, and the day we got them, we looked at, and these handles were super tight. This one here is still tight, but look at this. Now this has been down my basement for maybe a couple weeks. Listen, you see the handles? They're all loose. And this is why I used to, but I don't buy any more tools that have wood and steel together. And that's because the wood and steel contract and expand at different rates. And what happens is, you could see, you wind up with loose handles. Now, you could see how much of a gap there is there, so this is why this has always been a problem with these screwdrivers. It's notorious. It's very rare that you get them that they're always tight. It seems like the German ones always held up a little better, but they do get loose too, so it all depends on a lot of things. And another thing that some unscrupulous sellers will do is they'll submerge these in water for a day or so before they go to the sale, and then they're swollen up and they're tight, so you get this and you go, wow, nice and tight, and then you get home and a week later you got this. Now, I know some of you are probably saying soak it in antifreeze and things like that. Those when the wood gets to this point, it's very difficult to get it back no matter what you use.
So you can see why when I say I'm a little bit in over my head, you can see what I'm talking about. And that's not even including a lot of the projects that I have, things that I bought. But I do want to thank everyone who sent anything in. I thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I also want to thank all of you for supporting the channel and watching and supporting everybody else that in the comments and whatnot. And we really do have a great community here. So with that, I hope you have a nice day, and we'll talk to you again on Friday.